All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Friday, September 12th, here on your Daily Fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson, and this is All In Horns, presented to you by Rogue Sports Network. And today's episode, we're going to take a deeper dive into what Utep's got under the hood and give you a little bit of a Week 3 preview of games going around across the nation, and then obviously giving you our final predictions for the Texas and Utep game, and really those other games as well. But, Jake, I want to kind of dive in and talk more about this Utep team, a team that we have not really discussed all that much leading up to today's episode. And so really focusing more so on how Texas, we obviously know Texas matches up well, but what does Utep do well that might give Texas a little bit of a fit here and there?
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen any of the UTEP coaches' press conferences this week, but he's talked a lot about beating Texas. Now, typically that does not go well for these smaller schools that, decide to talk going into the game. He hasn't really said anything disrespectful. He's just trying to say that his team should get more respect and, not just...
I've always been curious what the locker room speech is like before going in and knowing that you're 50-point underdogs.
Yeah, it probably depends the coach. It probably depends the team. There's certain situations where you truly know you have no shot, but I'm sure you still just, you just got to bring up the classics, right? You got to bring up App State. You got to bring up Northern Illinois. You just got to bring up that, it just takes one game where you force them not to play their best, you play your best, and you stun them because they're not ready or they're not respecting you. I'm sure It's along those lines, right, of what they say. We haven't talked too much other than teasing the fact that, Texas plays 2 5-star quarterbacks in the first 3 weeks. And if you actually go out further, there's even more with DJ Lagway being a 5-star here in just a couple weeks. I think that's the main thing everyone knows about UTEP, but they don't really know much about what type of offense they run, where they've been successful, where they haven't been so far to start the season.
Yeah, and so we'll start off with that 5-star quarterback, former 5-star Malachi Nelson, Jake. He's thrown for this season at UTEP anyway, 486 yards, 60% completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, actually very similar numbers to what Arch has done. Now, Arch has done more on the ground, but again, only sacked 3 times this year, Jake. The offensive line doing a good job of keeping him upright, or the offense doing a good job of getting the ball out of his hands quickly, him being able to diagnose what defenses are doing, get it to his first read. First read's not there. I'm sure he's got a quick little dump off that he hits. And, the offense rolls very quickly at UTEP.
Yeah, guess what UTEP's going to do in this game? They're going to try to get the ball out quickly. That's what teams are going to do. That is the way right now that Texas's pass rush is affecting the game more so than their actual pass rush. Is just by making teams change their, what might be their normal game plan for Texas. I think that'll start to balance out as the year goes on and they play better teams that have confidence they can run their normal stuff. Or you get teams behind the chains. Texas defense, I think, will get more aggressive as well as the year goes on. We've seen the NASCAR package basically once since San Jose State ran it on that down. It was like 3rd and 20 or something like that. But I just want to see the defense. I want to see like Colin Simmons just press less. I just want to see him let the game come to him, not committing penalties, getting some pressures, things like just looking like the Colin Simmons that we saw from last year, but improved. Because so far this year, it seems like he's just trying to make a highlight play every play, and that results in bad results most of the time.
He's playing for his draft stock, and it seems like he's again forcing the issue, and he's good enough just to play his game and rise his draft stock on his own. He doesn't need to force that draft stock to be risen. Jake, they primarily play with two primary running backs. They both have 16 carries going into this game. Ashton Emery and Cam Thomas. Thomas is more of the short yardage guy. In fact, he's listed as a defensive lineman or a defensive end, but I think that might be a little bit of a typo on ESPN. But Cam Thomas is the short yardage guy. Emery more so the every down back. But again, it's not just those two guys, it's by committee. But again, those are their primary, guys that are going to be rushing the football.
Yeah. And UTEP has been a little bit of a more heavy to the pass side of things team. And they do, I mean, they're going to run the spread offense. They, what do they call it? It's like, space and pace. There we go. That's what the UTEP coach always says. He says space and pace. They're going to run some hurry up. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and try to just maybe go lightning fast the first drive and try to steal a touchdown, kind of
just to see what happens.
Yeah, just see what happens. I wouldn't suggest doing that against this Texas defense, especially as the game goes on. But I guess if you're going to do it, maybe come out and do it to start. See if you can kind of catch Texas off guard, especially with how they like to rotate their defensive tackles and edges.
And it's a lot of RPO, Jake. I mean, they have the option to run the football, but they will almost always have the option to throw the football.
Yeah, which means we're going to have to see. I thought the defensive line pressed a little bit as a whole last week, to be honest. And that led to some of those open rushing lanes for San Jose State, because I think they were in the mindset of pass rush, when you still need to be maintaining your gaps. And especially when San Jose State was getting the ball out fast most of the time. So even if you're just thinking pass rush and they do throw it, if it's snap, step, ball, you're not getting a sack anyways. And in fact, if you maintain your gaps, you may be able to get your hands up and deflect the ball. Something that I would really like to see them do, because that is something that is very noticeable that you should be able to do to John Mateer with how he throws the football. I would love to see some deflections in these next few games because I think
you're not going to be playing pro-sized quarterbacks in these smaller teams. Like they are all going to have undersized quarterbacks for the most part.
Yeah, so there's chances there for deflections and things like that, but it just comes from pressing a little less. Now the defense as a whole has looked really good through 2 games, and I'm sure they're going to look really good this weekend. But I'd like to see some more turnovers. I'd like to see them get them into some third and passing situations where you can bring out the NASCAR package, do some different type of pass rush looks, though I doubt they'll do any blitzes they're not going to throw anything on tape they don't need to. And then just continue to get some of these younger secondary guys some more time. Xavier Filsaime, he got some pretty extended time in the San Jose State game. Would love to see that continue. And then Grayson Littleton as well, just to kind of keep improving week to week, because he needs to be a big part of this defense this year. And so
he showed more freshman tendencies against San Jose State than he did against Ohio
he still
State.
didn't have a bad game.
No.
On second watch, I thought he didn't have as bad of a game. I think it was because it's being nitpicky because he played so well the first week. But
I see him on the opposite end of a reception of a big play, and I'm like, whoa, that can't
they
be.
gave him the hardest assignment out of all the secondary guys. That was what I noticed, and we hadn't talked about this yet. I think the coaching staff was setting him up to have some plays that showed up on film that weren't good, because they were already talking about trying to not let him get on his high horse after that first game. Not that he's having that issue, but the coaching staff apparently was on his ass all week in practice. And then they were like, yeah, go line up on their best receiver, who's a legit, like, Texas should have sent him some barbecue or something after the game to try to get him to transfer to Texas next year in Scudero. He was one-on-one with Scudero out of the slot the majority of the game.
And Jake,
I think they had less than a 50% completion percentage to him when he was on them still.
Yeah, that's not bad. I'll take that. You and I were both talking about, Scudero would be the perfect Jordan Shipley white boy slot receiver for this Texas offense. It would be perfect. So anyway, more about what UTEP likes to do. Really, their only receiving threat defensively. Again, I think it's going to be a pretty good day for our secondary. Kenny Odom, that will be the one guy you hear. He's got 14 receptions of the team's 38. He's got 2 of the 5 touchdowns and nearly half of all the receiving yards. The next closest wide receiver below the 14 mark in terms of receptions, I think, is at 6 for UTEP. So if Malachi Nelson sees Kenny Odom, he's going to go to Kenny Odom. And so a lot of their offense is going to be based on what he can do. And I think that bodes well for the amount of depth that Texas has in their secondary, they can probably throw multiple guys at him and just kind of throw him off in terms of what he's responding to and what his route running is going to be trying to do against multiple defenders.
Yeah, and it may give you a chance for like Malik Muhammad to actually get some chances at picks because I don't know if you noticed, no one's throwing his way.
No.
He has just been locked down island this year because no one's even really testing him for the most part. And so maybe he'll get a couple opportunities in this game because I'd love to see if his ball skills have improved. We know he's a really good coverage corner. We've known that his whole career at Texas outside of a couple moments last year. But as a season, he played really good as far as just not getting the ball thrown his way because he had his guy locked up in coverage. But I'd love to see him get an opportunity and an interception. And I'd like to see a couple interceptions in this game, really, just because they only got the one pick last week. So we still haven't seen a bunch of picks. Now, I think they've been playing fairly vanilla on the defensive end, even in the Ohio State game. But I would love to see them get some more turnovers this week, but have them be some interceptions specifically. We saw a bunch of forced fumbles last week, and that was from a concerted effort to punch the ball out. But I'd love to see some interceptions start to come their way this week.
Jake, let's talk a little bit about what their defense has done through 2 games. 10 sacks in 2 games. They're averaging 5 sacks a game. Again, they're not playing against Texas's offensive line every week. However, still an impressive feat nonetheless. And the thing to me that really jumped out, and I think we alluded to it earlier this week, the blitzes. It's come from secondary players. It's come from linebackers. It's come from defensive linemen. It's not just coming from 1 or 2 guys that are just having breakout seasons. No, it's coming from all over their defense. And I think if they send blitzes, Arch Manning's blitz percentage, or his blitz completion percentage has not been very high. In fact, it's been dreadfully low. And so I think Utep probably drawn up some pretty extravagant blitz packages, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I'm excited about that. Normally you wouldn't be excited about what the other defense is going to do to you, but in a game that Texas should be able to win, regardless, I want them to be tested on their weaknesses. I want the offensive line to have to communicate and pick up these blitzes, and if they mess up, have it on film so that you can fix it. Because guess what? Brent Venables is going to go all out on his game plan because that Texas game could very well decide whether he is still at Oklahoma.
Yep.
And typically coaches in the Red River rivalry do pretty well when their job is on the line because guess what? They throw the kitchen sink out there. Yep. And Brent Venables and do that.
And their players end up playing a little bit better, that little extra motivation because the players know that their coach is on the line.
Guess who else could be coaching for their job? Now, their job could already be decided based on the next 2 games, but if they win one of the next 2, their career could be on the line with Billy Napier. So what's Florida going to do?
Is there a world where we go into that Florida game where Billy Napier is no longer the head coach?
Maybe. It seems early. I mean, it seems like you just let him ride it out. I've never been a big fan of firing a coach, especially in college. In the NFL, sometimes it's like, oh, you can recoup towards the end of the season. But if you fire Billy Napier, you're getting rid of the whole staff. Seems kind of pointless. Seems like you just wait until the end of the year or a certain date where the buyout's less.
Well, and I think his relationship with DJ Lagway is pretty strong. And so that probably doesn't help your chances moving forward in terms of his buy-in for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, is there a world? Probably. Does it happen? I don't think so. But, that'd be a game that could certainly help him keep his job at the very least, even if you think it's decided at that point. So you're going to go against a couple coaches to start SEC play that are going to throw everything out there at you. And that's going to be especially on the defensive side of the ball because that's what Texas's biggest weakness so far has been its offense. And so they're going to attack what the offense has struggled with, and that's going to be sending exotic blitzes. So this could be even though UTEP's not going to be able to have the athletes and the juice that Florida and OU will have on the defensive end, you can still learn things schematically from it. And that doesn't necessarily mean Sark drawing up the X's and O's. That more so means Arch getting used to seeing it, diagnosing it pre-snap, diagnosing it immediately after the snap while he's making his reads, having the offensive line just learn what those looks look like. Practice is helpful, but it's one thing in practice and another thing in front of 105,000 people, regardless of whether it's home or away.
Yeah.
So I like that UTEP. That's one of their strengths, because I think that'll play well into what Texas needs to get better at, and this could be it's either going to be a big confidence boosting game, or it's going to be another reality check of
We got
this
some work
has
to
to
do.
get figured out.
Yep, we got some work to do. Offensively, Jake, we mentioned it. They like to run an RPO. They like to always have the option to run or pass. They've got 66 pass plays compared to 60 run plays. But again, a lot of those plays have the option of either one. Here's the big thing for me. They're a really bad third down percentage team, 32% on third down. Get them behind the change. And you'll probably have success against this UTEP team if you can push them back and get them at a third and medium, third and passing play, yardage wise type situation. You'll probably have some pretty good success because, again, this is a space and pace offense. A lot of space and pace offenses are short yardage. So they want to be in 3rd and 3. They want to be in 3rd and 2. But if you push them back to 3rd and 7, they may not have the guys to get those yards for them. So defensively, you got to stay disciplined. No stupid penalties, no free yardage. And that brings me to my last and final point when talking about this matchup. Texas has had more penalty yardage and penalties total last week against San Jose State than UTEP has had all season.
I mean, they've had more than a lot of teams have had all season.
When you have 13 in one game and 150 yards in penalty yardage, yeah, you're going to have a lot.
Yeah, so that I think that's going to be, other than the offense just looking better, I think one of the big things that people are going to be looking at in this game is just, are the penalties better? And that comes from mainly the offensive end. So I think a lot of people are going to be keying in on that being better. And then I think people are going to be really focused on sacks. I'm kind of going back right now as I can while we go, just because I feel like I remembered there being a lot of talk early in the season last year about the pass rush being really bad and disappointing and blah, blah, blah. Because guess what? Teams typically at the start of the season simplify their offenses, because offenses, especially in college, are always behind the start of the season. Guess how many sacks Texas had through 2 games last year? 1.
Oh,
0 against Colorado State, 1 against Michigan. And that was Colin Simmons. If I'm not incorrect, Texas through 2 games this year
has 2 sacks.
I believe is it 2 or is it just 1? I can't remember if they got
sacks. Murad Watson has a sack and a half. Colin Simmons has the other half.
Wait, they had 4 against San Jose State.
That can't be right.
Anthony Smith had 1. Leona Lafau had 1. Murad Watson had 1.5. Colin Simmons had half.
Okay.
So they had 4 sacks.
4 sacks
in the San Jose State game.
So they're doubling up. They're quadrupling up.
Dude, they're quadrupling up. You're not the math guy on this podcast.
Not the math guy.
So yeah, people need to chill out about the pass rush, because it was the same discussion last year. And guess what? As the season went on, as teams fell into what their regular offense is, quarterbacks start to hold on to the ball longer and sacks start to come. So sacks are going to continue to grow as the season goes on. I'm not concerned about the pass rush.
Yeah. All right, Jake. We will give our final predictions later on in the show. We'll actually end the show with our final predictions. But first, I want to go through some of the week 3 picks of this upcoming college football week. On this weekend is a lot of good games. I could only put a certain amount of games on here. There were more games I wanted to discuss. However, I want to start off noon slot, really good game. Actually, a little surprised it's not college game day, and unless it is, I think I've only seen the big noon kickoff. Clemson at Georgia Tech, and Clemson 2.5-point favorites on the road against the dark horse Georgia Tech team, who is trying to sneak up and win this ACC conference. Over under set at 51.5.
Yeah, so college game days at Tennessee, Georgia. They wanted to go to USF Miami, but I guess the Hard Rock Stadium said they had some type of lease rule that didn't allow it, which is Miami needs to get their own stadium, is what that tells you.
That's wild. That's a wild thing to say. And Fox Big Noon is going to like Northwestern or it's whoever Northwestern's playing. It's a bad game.
Then it's just a bad matchup.
Yeah, it doesn't
Northwestern
matter.
practically doesn't have a football program right
Yeah.
now. Funny enough, in my preseason predictions, I was very high on Georgia Tech. I had them losing this game. I now have Georgia Tech winning this game because I just think they're a better football team. And I could be proven wrong, and this could be the game where everything clicks for Clemson and it all of a sudden just all works after not looking good the first 2 weeks. That is certainly a possibility because Clemson has talent to do so. But Clemson has struggled some against the run game. And Georgia Tech, I think, is going to find a really good balance on offense. If it was at Clemson, maybe I'd be a little more hesitant. I think this line would have been expected to be 6.5 or 7.5 a couple weeks ago. It is now 2.5 for Clemson. Give me Georgia Tech money line. Give me Georgia Tech taking this thing and starting to work their way towards maybe having a chance of playing in the ACC championship.
And Jake, that brings me to my next point. You've got Haynes King, and you like Haynes King with your underdog entries for the week. And I'll let you kind of go through some of your other ones. But playing on underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code HORNS to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code HORNS. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on underdog. Will you be next? Jake, your higher lowers for this week. Again, you already mentioned Haynes King and what that Georgia Tech team and your expectations for them. Talk about some of the other guys you like this week.
Yeah, so I think the Haynes King one's fairly self-explanatory. Ty Simpson higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Love that line. Wisconsin stinks this year from what I've seen. I don't expect that to change. And I think Alabama will be out to try to make a point in this game. It's a home game as well.
You're saying 73-0 didn't make a point against UM Monroe last week?
No, it didn't because it was UL Monroe. Though Nick Saban did lose to UL Monroe at Alabama.
That's true.
Fun fact.
That's true.
I will take a lot of entries going against K-State's defense. That's the top one right there. Noah Fafita going higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. That is just more of a guess on K-State's defense stinking like they have so far this season.
Does Friday night concern you whatsoever?
No, because K-State, I guess K-State's defense might feel at home because they play about as bad as a high school defense. But yeah, I expect them. I mean, to me, two passing touchdowns isn't that crazy.
No, it's not.
I think Arizona's going to roll in that game. And even if it's close, guess what? That helps me out even more because then Noah Fafita's going to have to be making some more passes. So,
and it's a great name, Fafita.
Yeah, also fun name, but I was just kind of going through the games. Texas wasn't up yet, and so I couldn't do anything for the Texas game, which is probably a good thing after bombing out last week on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this entry. I think I got a winner here.
Yeah, and Jake, I like mine a lot too. I'm also taking Haynes King with over or with higher than a rushing touchdown. Joey Aguilar, first-year Tennessee starter. I know he's a veteran guy, but I just think that Georgia defense is going to be a lot, and I don't see Tennessee's offense putting up over 200 yards. And so I think Marcel Reed in that Texas A&M Notre Dame game is going to be interesting. I'd like to see him really use his legs. I think he's going to have to be able to have a multifaceted game, whether that be through the air or on the ground. And I think it's going to be for A&M to have success higher than 32.5 rushing yards. And then Jadarian Price, the other running back that no one talks about at Notre Dame. I like him to have a big game as well, higher than 43.5 rushing yards against that Texas A&M defense. And so not named Julian Love because, man, I'll tell you what, really disappointed with his workload. in week 1. Then they go in a bye week. Didn't really get to see much from week 2. I think Price is going to, maybe take the reins and maybe carry this offense until they kind of figure something out to do with Love. That was a weird week 1 for me.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like a 12-year-old playing college football that just kept spamming triangle, just trying to hurdle.
Just mashing the hurdle button. Yeah, it was wild. Anyway, so there's Clemson, Georgia Tech. Jake, I know you hadn't necessarily fully made your pick yet, or yeah, you said
Georgia Tech money line.
Georgia Tech money line. Man, I had a counter to it, and it was back when Clemson had played Troy in week 2 when they had Deshaun Watson, the year they won the national championship game. They were trailing at halftime. Troy had missed a field goal going into half. I think there was a weather delay, and then Clemson came back and won that game back when Deshaun Watson was leading the Clemson Tigers. I can't remember what year it was, but it was an eerily similar game. And then they do the same thing here, and then guess what? The next week, flip the switch. It was the wake-up call they needed. I'm very tempted to follow that script. I'm very tempted to follow that script. However, and I don't want to agree with you either. You know what? I'm going to take Clemson, but I'm going to take Georgia Tech to cover the spread, that 2.5 points. I think it's going to be a close game.
Oh, I hate taking spread. It's all right. I feel good about this because I could be wrong and you'll still be wrong.
And I'll still be also wrong.
Yeah. So it's okay. I mean, if you want to disagree with me so badly that you'd prefer to be wrong, I support that decision.
Okay. And then Jake, Wisconsin at Bama, we touched on a little bit with your underdog entries. I also tend to agree. However, I don't know about the Bama 20.5 point spread. I don't know if it's going to be that bad. I'm tempted to take Wisconsin to cover.
Go ahead. I've already placed a bet on this game, and it is for Alabama to cover the spread.
This might be the one. You know what? If this was in Wisconsin, I'd probably feel otherwise. But the fact that it's in Tuscaloosa,
because Wisconsin didn't get slaughtered last year by an average Alabama team at home, and Wisconsin looks worse this year, by the way.
Yeah, that's never happened.
So, this game. I mean, I think people are overreacting to Alabama in the sense of I think Florida State's a good football team now, the effort, all that stuff, but that typically motivates a team to get better at not loafing and things like that. Players have been called out. I don't see this game being remotely competitive. I think this will be a game where Alabama wins 49-14 or something along those lines, and then people jump back on the Alabama train, and then they'll lose to Georgia or someone good.
All right. Well, we have a guest picker. Our celebrity guest picker is Presley, and so Presley, who do you like? Do you like Alabama or Wisconsin?
Wisconsin.
Ooh, Wisconsin.
Oh,
she said, "Not so fast, my friend."
Got her football knowledge from her daddy.
Yeah, Jake, I'm going to have to disagree with her though. I'm going to take Bama on that one. All right, Georgia, 3.5 point favorites at Tennessee. I think this is the game that Tennessee hits a harsh reality check. I'm going to take Georgia in this one, and I'm going to take Georgia by multiple scores.
Yeah, man. Tennessee's probably looked like the better football team through 2 weeks, but I feel like it just doesn't matter. I think this is going to be the reality check for Tennessee's offense. I love the under in this game. I don't think this is going to come close to 49.5 points. That's probably the only bet I'm going to make in this game. I'll say Tennessee covers. I say Georgia wins by a field goal.
All right.
I don't think Georgia's offense is going to be that good in this game. And I do think Tennessee's offense is better this year because they don't stink at the quarterback position compared to last year.
All right. Georgia or Tennessee, Presley girl? Who do you like? Georgia or say one or the other. Georgia or Tennessee? Georgia. Georgia's going to win. All right. All right. One of the better rivalries in all of college football now, Pitt at West Virginia, the backyard brawl. Absolutely love this game. I watch it every year they have it. This time it's not a night game. A little disappointing. They're going to have it in the afternoon. Pittsburgh, I think, is a much better team, but I actually think the spread is pretty much respecting West Virginia just for the fact of this rivalry game. I'm going to have Pitt winning this one. Early on in my preseason predictions, I think I had West Virginia winning this game. After they lost that week 2 game, I have no faith that they'll be able to pull that off against Pitt this week. So give me Pitt, and give me Pitt by a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, the home team has been so good
I know
in this series.
I know.
And, I picked Iowa State to cover, I think, against Iowa. Stupid me. I'm never touching Iowa State the rest of the season. I'm going to say Pitt wins. I'm going to say West Virginia covers. I'm not confident in that. I don't know if I actually believe that's going to happen, but because this rivalry has been such a home favored team, and it's just one of those rivalries to me where you throw out results from the two teams previously.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm going to say West Virginia covers in this game.
Okay.
But Pitt probably wins, but my official pick is West Virginia covers. So if they win, I still win.
Gotcha.
In this
All right.
competition between you and me.
Presley girl, what do you want? Do you want West Virginia or do you want Pitt?
Pitt.
Pitt. All right. She's on her daddy's side on that one. All right. We got USF at Miami, and Miami is 17.5-point favorites. I think that's a slightly disrespectful, but I kind of get it. Over under set at 57.5. I think this is going to be another low scoring game. If USF wins, I think it will have to look eerily similar to what we saw against Florida. I like this game, but I do think the Cinderella run ends, and I don't think that necessarily ends their season in terms of a playoff game. I just think that their streak of beating 3 straight ranked opponents is coming to an end. I do think Miami is the best of the 3 opponents that they've played up to this point. Give me Miami. Give me USF to cover.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. That's oddly enough. Guess what the spread was of USF Florida? 17.5.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, oh boy, here we go again moments. But yeah, give me USF to cover. I think that spread's a little disrespectful to them, honestly. I think USF's a pretty good football team. I think the Cinderella run comes to an end of winning, but they'll still be the favorite to be the G5 playoff team. They've already have such an impressive resume. They have the best resume in the country right now over anyone else.
No, they do.
As far as, having 2 quality wins. So yeah, got a party going on over there.
Oh, I know. I've got the whole crew coming on. Yeah. So, all right, Jake, what your official pick was Miami
in that game? USF to cover, and I think Miami wins, but USF covers my official pick in under. I'm gonna go ahead and take the under as well, 57.5. I think that's a lot.
I think it would it would have to be the under for USF to be in this game. All right, Presley girl, let's go ahead. Who do you like? Do you like USF or do you like Miami? Miami. Yeah. All right. Bella, what about you?
What?
Who do you like, USF or Miami? Say it loud into the mic. Okay, she's just gonna giggle, so we're not gonna give an answer there. All right. So Florida at LSU. This game would have been much better had Florida not gotten upset a week ago. I think a lot of the luster has kind of died off of it. But I do think LSU. Man, I could see Florida really coming back and giving LSU a tough game. I feel bad for LSU actually in this situation. I think that LSU might be on upset alert from a team who just got upset. And so what's the spread? What's the number on this
7.5.
7.5.
It's a lot.
I'm gonna take Florida to cover the spread. You know what? I'm going to take Florida outright. Money line. I'm taking Florida to win this game.
I'm going to take Florida to cover. I think LSU probably wins. I definitely think there's a very good chance Florida wins this game. I think some people are honestly disrespecting USF a little bit. Now, Florida should never lose that game for sure. But I do think, it's not like Florida lost to Ohio at home. It's not like, they didn't lose to just some complete scrubs. USF's a good team. I think your mic's muted, by the way, or it got unplugged.
It's muted because I'm telling girls to
Okay.
either be
I
on the
didn't know
show
if you're
or no.
responding to me or not.
No, it's either don't be on the show or be on the show, and yeah, I'm telling them to try to go to bed. So.
But yeah, I'll take Florida to cover. I think 7.5 is a lot. I think Florida's going to show up and play with. They're not going to go dying just because they lost that week 2. They're not going to give up yet. And so I think Florida's going to come out and show some pride, and play much better in this game than they did against USF. Also, I don't really know how good LSU is.
Right. That's
at
my
all.
thing. That's
And
my
so
thing.
7.5 points is a lot. I probably will throw a couple coins at this game at that line.
All right, Texas A&M at Notre Dame, Jake. I think 6.5 is quite a bit for Notre Dame. I'm going to take Texas A&M to cover, but I do think A&M wins this game, due mostly in part to the rushing offense, and A&M showing early signs this season of struggles against the run. And so I'm just banking on that one matchup that if Notre Dame can dominate the ground game, it's going to be a tough night for A&M to try to win this one. So, but I do think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be kind of ugly. It's going to be very similar to last year's game. I think last year was like 16-13 or something like that. I could see a very similar score.
Yeah, I'm gonna take A&M money line in this game, mainly just because I don't really like that Notre Dame's coming off a bye week. I don't think that's really beneficial for a team this early. I think you want to be finding rhythm, especially with a new quarterback. I like Marcus Freeman, and I hope I'm proven wrong. But I think this will actually be a fairly highly scoring game, unlike you, at least compared to last year. I'm not saying it's going to be 40-37 or anything crazy like that. I think both teams will be in the 20s. Maybe one team gets into 30s. A&M's offense has looked pretty good this year so far. Granted, they haven't played a good defense yet. Notre Dame's their rushing offense was disappointing in their first game. While I thought CJ Carr looked pretty good at times, but I think CJ Carr maybe makes one or two mistakes that cost them this game, unless they can just run the ball down A&M's throat, which is certainly a possibility. But I just feel like Mike Elko is probably going to get the defense really focused in on the run this week. They've probably been fairly vanilla on defense in the first 2 weeks, I would imagine.
Sure.
I imagine that changes this week. And I think that just benefits A&M because Notre Dame wasn't going to be as vanilla in the first game because they were playing in, a top 10 matchup. And so I just think there's a lot of things that benefit A&M in this game. So I'm going to take A&M money line. I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope Notre Dame wins. I hope they cover by 1 million. But I'm going to take A&M money line because I think they'll end up winning a fairly close game.
All right, Jake, final game of the weekend that we are going to discuss, and that is Texas and Utep. And we will give everybody our predictions to that game. Texas is a 41.5 point favorite, and the over-under set at 51.5. So pretty much they're thinking, hey, if Texas wins, 53-10, then you get the spread and you hit the over-under on that one. So here's kind of what I'm thinking on this one. I think the offense, I don't think we're going to see a huge just jump in the offense. I really don't. I just don't think it's going to be this explosiveness. I do think penalties will be figured out. I do think the self-inflicted issues in terms of those types of things will be sorted out and will look better. So in turn, I think that also makes the offense feel and look a little bit more efficient than they did a week ago. I'm going to go Texas 42, UTEP 10.
Yeah, 41.5 is a lot of points because you can have a late garbage time. I'm not going to bet that. I mean, I typically don't bet Texas games anyways. To be honest, all it does is set me up for more pain.
Yeah, well, and it's even if Texas wins, you still lose money out of it. If they don't.
Yeah,
cover.
I mean, last week if I had a couple friends who text me like Texas didn't cover, I'm like, dude, don't bet those 30 point plus lines. Like you're flipping a coin.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick Texas to cover. I think Sarkisian is going to try to emphasize things that Texas has struggled with. And I think that could result in the offense being sloppy, maybe not from a penalty standpoint, but from a execution standpoint. And that's what Sark should be doing. He needs to try to improve the weaknesses in these games. And not really do much of the strengths. Keep those strengths not on film. And start running that more against Florida. I think he's still, and I think he's still trying to figure out the offense. He's trying to figure out what they perform well in game, what gets Arch going, and then he's trying to figure out how to get Arch to Wingo going. Like you said, I'm not expecting a magical switch to flip and this offense all of a sudden to just light the world on fire. I hope they do, but they haven't looked that way so far. I think they're going to look marginally better this week than last week, and I think they're going to look marginally better the next week. But yeah, I guess I'll take Utep to cover. But I think the score will be something along the lines of 45 to 10. Kind of a similar. I'm not going to pick them to get a 50 burger when they couldn't get a 40 last week. I don't think Utep's as good as San Jose State. I think San Jose State will end up having a better year. But yeah, I'll go 45 to 10. Texas. We get another nice kick from Mason Shipley, maybe. 49 yarder from the left hash.
I like it. All right, Jake, that's going to do it for today's episode. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tomorrow's episode will be following the Texas game. Texas kicks off at the 2:30 mark, or is it 3? Something like, I think it's like 2. It's the afternoon game.
I think it's 2:30 Central.
2:30 Central time.
I think.
Yeah. I know they're not the noon slot.
3:15 Central time,
which is a weird
random time on the SEC network.
Yeah, see, that's a very random time because I was like, I'm pretty sure teams start kicking off around 2:30 at that noon slot. So it's very odd that it's 3:15. Either way, I knew it was a weird time. So anyway, following the game, probably close around 6:30-ish time range, Jake and I will be giving you our immediate reaction. So please like, share, and subscribe. Put your alerts on All In Horns. And again, as always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.